Hello and welcome to the Somatic Movement and Mindset podcast with me, Clinical Somatic Educator and founder of Total Somatics, Heidi Hadley. The Somatic Movement and Mindset podcast has been designed to help you gain a deeper understanding to how your mind and body work. You will learn about your amazing mind and body and why over time you can feel pain, recurring injuries and poor posture. Within this podcast, I will teach you why this doesn't have to be your future or the norm for you. Would you like to learn how to reduce pain, move freely, and gain a new lease of life? Let's get started.
Hello and welcome back. Now, just before we get started, as always, if you're watching this on the Total Somatics YouTube channel, don't forget to like, share, subscribe, and press the notification bell so you will find out as soon as an episode drops. So today, what we're going to look at, and this is going to spread out over a few episodes, is the importance of calming our mind. And the reason I share this with you is because for all of us, over the years, life loves to throw curveballs at us. And so because of that, and also because we live in a world that's full of so many uncertainties, plus if we experience poor health or sickness, it doesn't matter where we are on this socioeconomic scale, poor health and sickness is quite a huge leveler. It brings us all down to that same level. And so as a result of this, it can just take a lot of pressure in our system. It can really start to churn over and create quite an unsettled mindset. And so what I want to do today is share with you an area of the brain that can get really activated when we're anxious. But we're going to learn, and I'm going to teach you a few little ways that we can practice and manage our mindset by calming things down. Now, there's a region of our brain called the amygdala, and it can become incredibly overactive. I mean, really, the amygdala is wonderful because it's like a little bodyguard, and it becomes alert. So it will allow us to know when there's a danger. And if there's a danger, subconsciously things happen. So we will be able to run or flee or hide. It's really, really important, the amygdala. However, sometimes that dear little amygdala does not know when to go quiet. And in many cases, it can just be on, like, it's like a broken record. It's just on all the time. It's like on repeat. It's just go, go, go. So we live in more of the amygdala sort of mindset, as it were. And when our amygdala is highly activated, that's the part that causes us to become worried all the time, very anxious, very afraid. It can also make us incredibly angry. And this is the area which feeds into that rumination, when you start churning over things, getting anxious, thinking, what if? And it's not a very productive headspace. So when we take the total somatics approach to health and well-being, what we want to do is dampen down the actions of the amygdala. Because when we allow them to dampen down, MRI scans have actually shown that when we learn skills and techniques to quieten down the amygdala, it actually shrinks in size. And if we're practicing total somatic principles, what will happen is we start to see that we're using more of our prefrontal cortex. Again, the neuroscience has shown that when we start to calm our mind, the amygdala shrinks and the prefrontal cortex gets nice and fat and juicy. And that's exactly what we want to do with our brain. We want the front part to become fat and juicy and the amygdala just to quieten down and only be activated in survival situations. So when our prefrontal cortex is stimulated and when we're really starting to work and live in that area, that's when we become less judgmental. We become curious. We enjoy pleasure, because we are savoring the moment. It allows our memory to really take hold and grab on and remember things, because when we're in a relaxed, more pensive mode, we can recall memory. When we're anxious, we're literally in survival state. And also when we live in our prefrontal cortex, we become very creative. So I don't know if you've ever had this, but when you just relax and you might be going for a walk, that sort of thing, and then you get this amazing idea and you think, wow, where did that come from? But that's because we've allowed the amygdala just to quieten down, and then we start living in your prefrontal cortex. And that's how amazing it is. So we've all experienced times like that where you think, where did that come from? So what I'd like us to notice, though, is the first approach to actually becoming mindful so that we can calm our mind and really settle down everything internally is to become aware of your breathing. And I'd like to just run through a little simple sequence with you here, which after this podcast, just go away and just develop it deeper. So if I could encourage you, first of all, just to close your eyes here. And we're going to really focus internally. And if you can't close your eyes because of the situation you're in, just again become more focused internally. And I'd like you to notice with your breathing, does it feel shallow? Does it feel rapid? Does your breathing feel deep? Is it slow? And if you have the opportunity, can you place one hand on your belly and one hand on your chest? And just start to breathe deeply here. And if you're in a situation that you can't do this, please come back to this practice later on. So if you've got your hand on your belly and the other hand on your chest, as you breathe deeply, notice with your hands, underneath your hands, what's moving. Do you notice if your belly is rising and falling with your breath? Do you notice if your chest is rising and falling with your breath? Again, don't overanalyze this, just be curious. Notice the sensations and the movements in your body. As you inhale this time, notice as you take a deep breath in, does your belly expand like a balloon or does it suck inward? If your belly sucks inward, the next time, could you use your hand and tap onto your belly or friction or rub your belly and just bring your awareness to that area and allow your belly to expand like a balloon into your hand. Use that sensation or that stimuli to tap or rub your belly to allow your brain to notice that area. And continue practicing this on a regular basis so eventually you can feel your belly expanding like a balloon as you inhale. Now, as you continue just to let your belly and your chest rise and fall, I'd like you to notice that as you're doing this breathing, are there any thoughts that are coming up? And if they are, could you allow them just to float away like a cloud in the sky? So notice them, but don't overanalyze them. Don't put labels to them or stories. Just allow those thoughts to float away. So don't try and think about emptying your mind, because the reality is your brain is constantly processing and creating different thoughts and emotions and sensations. What we want to do is just notice our breathing and allow those thoughts just to drift away. It's normal to allow your brain to create these thoughts. The power lies in allowing them just to disappear and float away instead of overanalyzing everything that comes into our mind. And just start to return back to your breath. And as you just finish those few breaths there, whenever you're ready to, just slowly start to open your eyes and allow your eyes just to look around the room or wherever you are. Bring yourself back into the environment that you're in. And so I'd like to just ask you, how do you feel just doing that small little movement session or breathing and awareness? Because I'd love you, if you can, to sit quietly or lie down with a free audio resource that I have for you. So what that will do is take you even deeper into that little mini practice that we've just done. And if you want to access that free audio resource, go to totalsomatics.com/calm, as in CALM, totalsomatics.com/calm. And so my advice for you looking at just how we move forward here is, don't overcomplicate situations. Keep it simple, keep it small. really just start with small steps. And I've written a few ideas down here that I'd like to share with you. So, of course, come back to your breath, like that little sequence I've just run through with you. Also, go to totalsomatics.com/calm for a dedicated audio resource for you. But I'd like to give you a few ideas of how we could start to calm your mind in familiar situations that you know. So it could be just sitting still and staring into space and allowing yourself just to be, because that's powerful in itself. A lot of the time, people can't do that. They're reaching for the phone. It's such an addiction, the phone. And all ages are addicted to the phone now. Can I encourage you also to dial down that reactiveness in your nervous system and calm your mind by just putting your phone on silent and even getting rid of that vibration of the phone, so that if somebody calls, if you need to do something and there's an emergency, obviously that's different. But the majority of the time, we have notifications off, we've got text messages coming in, phone calls, and there is a time where we can just put that onto silent and just spend time with ourselves. Again, instead of being reactive and conditioned to the sound of that phone. Again, that's not going to calm our mind. It's going to stir up our nervous system. And just the sheer sound of the phone going off, I know from working with people clinically, if they've not turned their phone off within the clinic setting, within the room, I actually can feel the contraction of their muscles as soon as there's a notification and their phone's gone off. And then I'll go, I'm so sorry, I'll put it on silent. And they do. But I can feel reactive response to that stimuli. That's how important it is to actually quieten that phone down and switch it off or turn it on to a notification, because it's just dialing up our nervous system, and we are becoming conditioned and a slave to our phone because it can become an addiction. So that's for all ages as well. So another thing I'd consider is, could you sit in nature or could you go for a walk in nature? For instance, when we're immersed in nature, say forest bathing or the equivalent, and we're walking through woodland, just notice how instinctively, what are you going to do? You're going to start taking some lovely deep breaths because you want to enjoy the crisp, fresh air. You want to smell the aromas and the plants and the flowers. So can you see how instinctively, when you're in nature, you start to just take those deep breaths in, you start to be curious and you look around at everything. You have pleasure and enjoyment watching the birds on the trees all fighting over one branch when you've got a whole woodland around. So all those sorts of things really help to calm our mind, relax and regulate our nervous system, and again, bring in that practice of gratitude. And also, could I consider that when you're feeling anxious, when you're feeling stressed, could you go back to some of your favorite somatic movements? So the reason I say your favorite somatic movements is that when you feel that your mind is so cluttered and there's just a lot going on, if you have some go-to favorite somatic movements that you do, you can just be fully immersed in something that just goes so rhythmical and flowing, and you just go straight back into feeling how grounded and centered you are. And of course, with your somatic movement and your pandiculation, instinctively, as soon as you start doing that, because we're changing the tone and tension in your muscles and we are regulating your nervous system, it's going to change the state of your nervous system and your mindset. Because we're bringing in pandiculation, we're bringing in mindful movement and awareness, we're bringing in breath work. And that's so critical for calming your mind. And I personally am, so I'm going to share this with you. I love doing all the others that we mentioned, but if you have a bath, I love having a bath. And so what I will do is put some Epsom bath salts with lots of essential oils, and I will put candles everywhere. And I'll often have really calming, relaxing music, no crescendos, just very calming, quiet music. And I'll just soak until I turn into a prune with my fingers. And I'll often just stare at the candles that are in and just watch them flicker, or watch their shadow and the actions of the candle on the wall. And just allowing myself to kind of be in this little sanctuary and just allowing for that quiet time. And often, because the music has no crescendo and it's very calming and quiet, because I might be focused on just the candle, the sound of the music comes and goes. And of course, the water and the temperature and the magnesium in the Epsom bath salts, it's just an incredibly powerful way of regulating some crucial nerves within your nervous system that are involved with the fight, flight, freeze, and fawn response mode. So can you see how when we start to bring in a practice, because we're educated and we're empowered with total somatic education, we are able to bring in lots of different tools and techniques to help calm our mind. So what I would like to encourage you to do is join me for the next episode. And in the next episode, we're going to start to explore another way we can calm our mind when things are starting to get on top of us. But in the meantime, please check out my resources and my online shop at totalsomatics.com. Click on the shop page and you will find there are videos, there are workshops, there are digital courses, there are also audios which can allow you to delve deeper into total somatic movement and pandiculation to regulate your nervous system, soften the muscles within your body so that you can get greater range of movement, reduce your pain, increase your mobility, improve your posture. But also, if you would like to go even deeper and have my ongoing support, you can always join the Total Somatics online membership. I open the doors periodically, so if the doors are closed at the moment, please go to totalsomatics.com, click on the Join Now page. And when you click on the Join Now page, if the membership doors are closed, you will see there's the opportunity to leave your email in the little box there. If you do that, as soon as the membership doors open the next time, you will be the very first to find out. So until next time, all my love, my very best wishes. Please have a look at that whole practice of like we went through today. But again, if you want to delve deeper with me cueing you and just guiding you through a calming regulation strategy technique, go to totalsomatics.com/calm. And until next time, all my love and my very best wishes. Take care. Bye.
Thank you for joining me today. If you've enjoyed this episode, please leave a rating and also forward this on to somebody you know will benefit. To learn more about pain relief, plus how to improve your health and well-being, go to totalsomatics.com. Until next time, take care.